Welcome, Blazers. We're back with another episode of Blaze Entertainment. I'm here with your host, Miss Free.
I'm sorry. Blazers?
Blazers,
okay.
Yes. We're here with a Spotlight Edition episode, and we have the lovely, the talented, the amazing Miss Kristie Champagne.
Oh, God, keep going. I love those adjectives.
Yes.
Yes.
So how you doing, Miss Champagne?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
You better.
Yeah. It's been a hot day. You know, trying to stay in the AC.
Yeah.
Is it hot there? It's not very warm here in Seattle. It's nice and cool here today.
It's Seattle. Thanks for rubbing that in.
Yeah.
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
It's about like 85 degrees.
Yeah, but that's hot for me. Anything above 75 is too much.
Yeah.
So. Oh, well.
It's nice and warm.
I've gotten accustomed to AC.
Yeah, he has like an ice box in here. Let me tell
you. I can't sweat. I'm sugar. Anyway.
Sweating is not attractive.
No,
ladies do. We don't sweat. We do.
It's not
we
cool.
glisten.
Right? A little spritz, if you will.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So, Miss Champagne, if may I call you Kristie?
You can call me whatever you want.
Okay, bitch.
Hey now. Hey now. Wait a minute.
Hold up.
Wait a minute. Remember the roles here. Now don't go pushing it. I don't have to ground you.
Let's just explain that so our audience doesn't have a heart attack.
It's like, who is that? What did you call? So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into drag and you know, all that jazz?
Oh, you want to jump right up in there?
I mean, let's do it.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess, like we said, I currently live in Seattle. I work at an evening at LaFaux. I started working there in 2009. Actually, I moved to Seattle with a friend of mine that we are no longer acquaintances. And we moved here to work at an evening at LaFaux. He was the host. You may know him as Chanel from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, okay.
And so I moved here. Hadn't even performed in drag ever. Was always a performer when I was a kid, and kind of moved here and got involved in the show with helping him and dressing him and putting on his costumes and all that kind of stuff. And kind of one very long story led to another, and I started performing in the show as ironically Fat Madonna, which is ironic and funny all at the same time. But yeah, and then I moved to California after about a year of being here in Seattle and performed in California, and drag just kind of took off. Kristie kind of took over my life, and I don't think I would have it any other way, and ended up back in Seattle, back at LaFaux, kind of where I started. So I feel like everything's kind of full circle at this point.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that definitely went full circle. So you didn't like it here in California, though?
Right. I feel like that's probably the best way I could describe a very intensely long conversation and storyline. That's probably the shortest version I could give you. Because we would be here for hours if I told every little way and how I got here. It was kind of a bit of a maze, but it's been fun. It's been fun.
Okay. So you just mentioned that, you know, you are currently the host, correct, of an evening at LaFaux?
Yes.
And that is where actually I met you.
Yeah. I was like, okay, listen, I want to know that story.
Kwame the lowly hooper.
So it's funny because we crossed paths at LaFaux, where I was a backup dancer in the premiere hooper.
Well, the only hooper we've ever had.
Right?
If I were to point that fact out.
I mean, I'm unique. I'm a champagne anyway, so.
Well, you know, that's how we do. That's how we do.
You know. Brick. Anyway, so we met there, and one of the things that you do is you do an Adele impersonation, which is amazing, by the way. And I'm not just saying that because
thank you,
we love you, but because of the fact that you just do an amazing Adele impersonation.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube, and I was like, okay.
Oh goodness gracious, those aren't even the good videos. Oh wow. Well, I guess I did something right then, because those are the crappy videos.
No, those are
Adele's kind of my thing at this point. It's that's also been a bit of a journey, but yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be the Adele impersonator I am today if it wasn't for LaFaux. If you get a chance, you look it up, you see it's a very serious place. You have to take your craft very seriously. You have to push yourself. You have to be on your A game at all times. And, coming into the show when I did, I hadn't been doing Adele for very long, and it kind of forced me to take it really seriously. And I'm very thankful because I feel like it's now put me in a position to probably be, you don't want to toot your own horn, but toot, I'm probably one of the best Adele impersonators. There's not very many that I know that do it full time. But there are a couple other ones like a queen from New York called Delighted to Be Here, and of course Delta Works. She does an amazing Adele as well.
Oh my god!
So it's fun. Adele's been fun. Adele's been like doing Adele as an impersonation, I should say. I'm sorry. Has been really fun. It's yeah. It's a journey. It's fun.
One of the questions that I have for you, and I think we talked about it like in person before when I was still in Seattle. How, and I actually had this conversation with another queen on one of our other Spotlight episodes, and the body image that that most queens are looked at or try to quote unquote strive for is not always healthy, and I really appreciate the bigger queens that go out there and show and give that body positive image, and I've always looked at you as one of those people that do that and just say, look girl, I'm going to eat what I won't eat. So, because I know that can be tough in the performance industry in and of itself, let alone the drag industry, just the performing arts industry, to have this certain body image and this certain way. Like, how did you overcome that, if you've ever had those type of issues, and how do you promote positive body image?
I think that body image issue, like you said, is always going to be there. It's pretty much in any kind of entertainment aspect. You're going to have it in some form of way, whether it be a plus size performer or a thinner performer, because thinner performers get just as much flack for being too thin as the same way I feel like a lot of us bigger queens get flack for being too big. I always make jokes though, because, like you said, I don't make any qualms about what I eat. I like to have food in my life, like you try to eat healthy, but food is good and food is amazing. And it's like, so I eat what I want, when I want, how much I want. And I always make a joke that it's like, it's almost like, for me, the way I look at it and the way I make that kind of negative connotation about body image being a performer is I make a joke about it being that, like, this is my insurance for my job. This is my character development, because I can't go out 2 days a week and impersonate Adele and weigh 175 pounds.
Right.
It's not a thing. It's just the same way you wouldn't want to see a 200-pound Britney Spears, because the illusion is not there. So I tend to make a joke about it, because I think that makes, it makes it a lot easier to deal with. But I've dealt with that a lot, and in and out of drag, actually. And it's, I think at this point, it's something I've kind of come to terms with, and I'm okay with it. And I think it's actually a pleasure, I feel, sometimes, to get to portray a thicker character, as well as Kristie being a thicker performer, because there's all kinds of thin performers. There's all kinds of girls in every shape and size, but that's what sets you apart. Like, especially in a cast like An Evening at LaFaux, it's like I'm pretty much the only big girl in the show, and I feel like it gives it all these different levels, because if we were all the same, it would be boring, and then we would not all be different people, and we wouldn't be different characters. So it's a constant struggle, I think, but I think you make it work for you, and screw what everybody else thinks. Like, I like the way I look, and I'm, if you don't like it, hit the road, Jack. Like, If you don't like me when I look like a map, you can hit the road.
That is exactly what I say
hit
to
the
my
road,
mother.
bitch. Like,
my mom's like, well, you can't go outside looking a hot mess. I said, well, if you can't accept me looking a hot mess, then you won't be able to accept me when I look gorgeous. Okay.
Absolutely. And that is completely it right there. It's like, if you can't handle me when I'm at my worst or when I'm not, all done up, what makes you think you're going to handle the real, when I really put on the Ritz, like, you're not going to be able to handle it. So,
or what makes you think you deserve it?
Right.
Exactly. So I kind of look at it as a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be a bigger performer. It's a pleasure to be a big guy. It's a pleasure to, not, to get to portray that kind of aspect in the entertainment business, if you will. I feel like I make it work for me, and that's the only thing I guess you can ask to do is just fucking make it work.
Right, exactly. True. Now, another question that I have for you is like, what would you tell, younger performers who want to get into the drag industry and like, how would you, what warnings would you tell them, like from your experience that you've had before, growing from a baby drag princess to a drag queen and going through that and what do's and don'ts would you have for them?
Oh God, that's such a loaded question. I feel like my number one thing whenever anybody asks me this question, because I you get asked this question a lot being a professional performer, is, what kind of advice would you give? And the first thing I always tell people is, whether you're doing drag or you're dancing or you're singing or you're playing an instrument, you need to be having fun. If you're not having fun and you're not enjoying it, then it's going to come off and you're not going to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing, because people are going to be able to see that you're just doing it for the wrong reasons. So first and foremost, I would tell somebody, just smile, have fun. If you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Find something else that you enjoy and push yourself in that aspect. I also think that, like, for queens who are coming up in the drag community, I think you need, my warning would be, watch your back. It can be really cutthroat. Surround yourself with, positive people that are going to assist you in what you're wanting to do with your career. A good, solid base is what really it takes, because Kristie, like, for instance, for me, Kristie Champagne is not just me. It's a village. Like, it's so many other people, I rely on so many other people for things. So surrounding yourself with a solid core of, like, really good people who are going to uplift you and, like, help you and get you to where you need to be is a really good thing as well. But on the other hand, you got to watch your back, because a lot of people, especially in the drag community, are going to come at you because they think, they're going to get something out of you, or, you're famous or whatever it may be. Like, they're going to come for you. And so you got to watch out for the snakes in the grass, if you will, like, you got to watch out for them. So I think that's probably my best two pieces of advice is for a little queen coming up who wants to, do performing full time is, just have a good time and surround yourself with good people and watch out for the snakes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I had a quick question for you. I know you brought up celebrity impersonations. So I know you're very good at Adele, but if you could choose another celebrity to impersonate, who would you choose?
Oh God, this is gonna sound so cliche, but I totally probably would impersonate Cher. I know it's like it's so stereotypical. It's so like such the gay guy thing to say, like, oh my God, I love Cher. Cher's so amazing. But I just, like, when I was a kid, I would catch episodes of the Sunny and Cher show, like, on Nick at Night, and, like, I would see her, and I didn't really think twice about her until I got, like, in my teens, and then I started, like, she kind of made a bit of a comeback, and I started, like, really, like, getting into her and, like, really loving her music, and I mean, she's such an amazing performer, and she's so, like, costumes are amazing. I mean, you could go on and on, but I think if I had the opportunity to be any other celebrity, I probably would be Cher. Like, she's pretty much the ultimate. I mean, who doesn't want to be covered in rhinestones and wigs in every single color? Like, but she's, like, really, like, she's classy, and she doesn't, like, she's not over the top. She's not, that's not the right thing to say. I think what I mean is, like, she's not, like, she's not in your face, She doesn't take shit from anybody. She does what she wants to do, and she does it really classy and like super like she's amazing. I love her. So
she's
I
like
would
a
definitely
mellow storm, if you want to say.
Yes, she's like I kind of love. I've always looked up to like stronger women who like are very classy and elegant and like super like talented and like all of that stuff, because I've always had that kind of archetype of woman in my life in some aspect. So I think that's what kind of drew me to her, is that she's, even when she was younger, she was the same way, but now that she's older, she's like, girl, she don't take nothing from nobody, and if you don't like what I'm doing or what I'm saying, you can kiss my ass, But on top of that, she gets to be that way because she's so talented, and she's paid her dues, and you just, I don't know, you just can't go wrong with Cher.
Legend.
Yes. Now, what? I have a question for you. What are some of your favorite shows that you're watching right now?
Ooh.
Oh, goodness gracious!
Yes, give me some hints.
I think we talked about this earlier. Wait, can we put that question on pause?
Okay.
Because I feel like we haven't discussed. We briefly mentioned that I met you at LaFaux, but like I feel like we need to discuss the connection between me and you, so that way if I say something, it's not like, wait, they talk all the time.
Because, I had a question.
I feel like the viewers need to understand that Kwame is a member of my drag family, so that way it's understandable when I say something like, oh, well, when we talked yesterday, they're not like, oh, that's creepy and weird.
I was going to say, I was like, well, I want to know the story of how, like, you and Kwame met and, like, how that works. So come on, tell me the story. Tell us the story.
So me and Kristie are very, very good friends. She's one of my best friends. And it's funny because I had asked her one time, and she was like, I was asking questions about like becoming a drag queen, and I wasn't saying myself to be a drag. I was just asking questions like, how do you get into a drag house? How do you do all these different things? Like, and she was like, you're not becoming a queen. You're just not going to do it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She was like, you're just not going to do it. Everybody that I talk to that gets around me, they just want to become a queen. And I was like, I don't want to become a queen. Like, I am a queen, but I don't want to become a drag queen. So she started, I was saying, I wanted to be a part of her house and like, in the House of Champagne. And she started talking to me more about it and, how would I, what would be my place there? And I'll be like, well, I'll be a drag king or a performer. I'll be your drag son. And so eventually, we were looking up names, trying to think of names to call me and stuff like that. And she came on, she was like, I got it. And I was like, what? She was like, you're going to be Dom Perignon Champagne. And I was like, yes.
It was too perfect. It was too perfect.
It was perfect. First of all, it's one of my favorite champagnes.
So that's how we know each other. Okay. And my other preface is that me and Kwame talk on the phone almost every single day.
Almost literally every day.
Calls me on his lunch break, checks in, we talk every day, so it's like, and I hate talking on the phone. I hate it. I hate answering the phone. I hate talking on the phone. And Kwame's pretty much the only person that I will answer the phone for and have a conversation over the phone with. So, yeah. So there's that. But now I forgot what our question we were on was about.
Oh.
What TV shows you were watching
yes.
right now?
Yes. So me and Kwame just talked about this, and we were discussing all of these television shows, and I am always a day late and a dollar short when it comes to television, because as much TV as I watch, I always watch it behind, like, because I'm so busy, and it's like I don't have time to really like, and I work on the weekends, so like all the days where TV shows really like push their good shows, I'm usually working, so I have to watch stuff like behind schedule. And me and my roommate just finished watching the HBO series Looking, which I loved, which is kind of like a modern Queer as Folk.
Mind you that this show came out last year, and I gave her shit for it earlier today because I was like, this came out like last year. Right?
I've never heard of it.
He told me to watch this show a year ago, and I never got around to it. And so it's really good. It's like, I think the best way you can describe it to somebody who's never heard of it or seen it before is that it's like a gay version of Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and a modern day version of like you said, a modern day version of Queer as Folk.
Okay.
Of Queer as Folk, yeah. If you've never seen either one of those shows, that's the best way to describe it. And it's just really good, but it got canceled, and they're like the way they ended their last season because they only had 2 seasons. They didn't like.
Your phone's kind of breaking up.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
a lot of stuff got like answered. Like at the end of a season, sometimes they either leave you really hanging, or they close a lot of things up and then start new. Luckily, at the end of their second season, which was their last one, I felt like they kind of tied some things up, but like not really. Mm-hmm. So I guess what happened was when it got canceled, there was such an uproar about it being canceled and why did it get canceled and all this stuff that they decided to make a movie that like, I think it fast forwards about a year and a half, I think, in the timeline. But they're going to tie everything up and like let you see what happened to the characters and what happened to like the stuff that wasn't. But it's just I felt like it was a really like gritty kind of show, and it just was really like I could relate to a lot of it. Going back to like with it being a modern version of Queer as Folk. When Queer as Folk came out, yes, it was such a great show, and it was so like at a time where like you didn't see things like the gay community in television and in film. It was really good. But on the other hand, the portrayal of, the gay community in that show is a little off kilter. Right. It's not, completely relatable. And you kind of watch it and you think, oh, God, like clubs aren't like this. And, a lot of gay people aren't like this and blah, blah, blah. As good of a show as it was. But it's like, I felt like Looking was so much more relatable, and like being a gay man in my 30s, I could relate to like the storylines and all of those things, and it was just more realistic. It was really, really good, like really good. I'm angry that it didn't get any more time to like get a couple more seasons because I think it would have got really good.
Well, how many seasons are there?
Yeah, I think there's only 2, but it's only like 2? they're half-hour shows.
Oh,
so like
okay.
not like
they're 30 minutes, real quick.
I'm thinking it's like an hour.
No, they're half-hour like shows, and it's like there's so much in a half an hour that you don't even realize that it's a half an hour.
Okay.
Right.
So.
And then the other TV show I watch, if we have 400 million hours to sit here and talk about it, but I totally love Game of Thrones.
Yeah!
It's like you can't I feel like if you don't like Game of Thrones, I cannot be friends with you.
Yes,
that's how serious. It's like it's such a great show and it's so good. And I love like period stuff and like so it's like super in my alley, like so good.
That is right. Oh my gosh. I love you so much right now.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character on Game of Thrones?
Daenerys. Probably.
Okay.
I feel like she's such a strong character and like I don't know, I really love the actress that plays her, and I think that it's just like whenever I'm watching Game of Thrones, 9 times out of 10 if Daenerys is not in the scene, I'm like, okay, when are we getting to the dragons? Do I have time to go get another glass of wine? Because when are the dragons coming back? Like, yeah, no. And I what I really love now, now that we're at we're waiting for the new season to start, is that, and I was a little worried about it when the previous season started, because this was the first season where they didn't have a book and they didn't have something already pre-written to like follow a storyline. And I was like, oh God, like we're too far into this and I enjoy this too much for them to screw it up now that they have like all of these liberties, to like make up all these new things and all these storylines. But I think they did a really good job at like keeping the continuity of the show and like especially leaving us wanting more, like what the hell is going to happen now, like kind of thing. Like it's just so good. It's so good.
Do you read the books?
I haven't read the books yet, and I want to. I literally have them sitting on my shelf right here, actually right next to me on my desk. And I just have not gotten around to reading them, but I want to.
Kwame needs to get reading.
Okay.
Miss Reed just gave me a look because when you said that, because of the simple fact that I have a book that she let me borrow that I haven't read yet to this day.
And I gave it to her a long time.
You better give her book back, Kwame. Don't make me come all the way over there and get you. You better give her book back. This ain't a library, bitch.
Right?
You better hope she don't charge late fees.
Girl. Some ass to collections.
Yeah.
well.
So
good thing you got a JOB.
Right? Get them checks.
Okay.
So tell us about some things that are coming up for you that people should be aware of. Like, where can we find you? Where can, tell us all about Kristie.
Well, currently right now, I just started my second job. I'm working the street corner right outside my apartment building.
So stupid.
It's going really well. The 401k is really amazing.
Yes.
The benefits are great. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm getting ready to do here in Seattle. There is another drag house that is very well respected in the community, the House of Paradisco.
Yeah.
And I'm actually love them. Yeah, they're amazing. They're such sweet and amazing performers and just really great people just great people really is what it boils down to. But every year they do a fundraiser called it's kind of funny, but it's called the D. And it's a all Disney themed show. And they always pick a different charity to give the proceeds away for, and it is in cahoots with the Court of Seattle. Because most of the Paradiscos have been title holders in the court system here in Seattle, and so they do it every year. Luckily, I've had the pleasure of doing it the past 2 years.
Not to cut you off, but for those who don't know out there, the court, you're talking about the Imperial Court of Seattle.
Yes, the Imperial Court. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And we actually get to have it at Julia's, which is awesome because that's where I perform full time. So it's like, getting to do it at home. But I love Disney, and having been a California transplant here in Seattle, it's like I always make the statement: once a Disney queen, always a Disney queen.
Yes.
And it's like, so it's really fun to get to do that. And it's, I love charities that give back to youth. And I believe I wish I had my facts more together, but I believe one of the charities that this year's show is giving to is a transgendered youth program here in Seattle, which I think is amazing. And then awesome. Another one I believe is a homeless youth shelter as well. I wish I had their names, and I apologize that I don't, but they always pick the best charities to give to, and I mean giving to charity period is amazing, but they always pick something that I think is really fitting, especially because we're doing an all ages Disney show, and it's just really fun. So I'm prepping for that right now, and just doing all of our shows. An evening at LaFaux, Julia's Queen of the Brunch, and then our new show, which we just started, which is like a 1920s burlesque dinner review, which is really fun. So just kind of working and getting ready for that. Not a whole lot going on here in Seattle.
and what's the name of that show, the 1920 show that you're talking about?
Magnifique is the name of that show. Okay. And we're on our about 6th month, I believe. I believe we've been running for about 6 months now. Mm-hmm. And what it is, it's really fun, is it's basically takes what an evening at LaFaux does so well and mixes it with the burlesque community, which is a huge, huge community here in Seattle. Burlesque is something that's been ingrained in Seattle culture for so long. Mm-hmm. And the drag community and burlesque communities don't usually mix very often. So it's actually really fun to get to perform with, out of town burlesque performers, in town burlesque performers, mm-hmm. and really mix what we do with what they do, and get to blur the lines between burlesque and drag. And it's just really fun. So if any of your viewers are in Seattle, please come and check out Magnifique. It is every Thursday, and it's so much fun.
And where can we find you on social media?
My Facebook, Kristie Champagne. And then my Twitter, which I get shit for not using very often, which is Kristie Champ. And I have an Instagram, and I'm horrible, and I can't remember the tag for my Instagram right now, but
that's okay. Right. We'll post it. We'll post it for you.
Perfect. Well, I'll let my people give you the information. So.
Well, Kristie,
that's good, so because Kwame is my people. So
pretty much. Kristie, thank you so much for being on the show. I really
oh my God. No, thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
And we would love to have you on the show again sometime.
Yes, definitely.
You better.
Right.
All right, Kristie, you have a great night.
I love you guys. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.